is to make a few notes about what exactly you'd like to complain about, because there's lots of bits and pieces in your letter here, so I want to make sure that I have it very clear what you'd like to complain about, and then I can address those. Not today, it's going to have to go back,
no problem,
and then work through all the bits and pieces and then respond back to you. So, right, if you'd like to start right back at the beginning,
the beginning would be I came to this country in 1997 as a student. I went through university as an international student, first Foundation College, then I went to the university in London and graduated in year 2000. Went back to my country to complete a master's degree, and then I returned in 2004. Since 2004, I have made England my home. I was fortunate to marry my wife, with whom I lived for 7 years. Married to her for 5 years officially, and everything was okay. And also, for the better part of 10 years, I have worked almost exclusively in community safety roles.
Okay.
In close proximity with police officers, and I understand, you know, what obtains, so to speak. Having said that, there have been many instances where, you know, I have had what I would call, you know, police confrontations, you know, in the past. And for this reason, I decided to always document my encounters with police officers, especially in London. For some reason, outside London, I don't seem to have a problem. There was an incident on the 2nd of February 2012 at Ilford, where some police officers, you know, they stopped me traveling, and they inquired about my driving license and all these things. And to cut a long story short, I was arrested, and then about 15 minutes later I was de-arrested. And during the process, I was never violent, I was never, you know, difficult to communicate with. I listened to people, and, you know, most importantly, there was a witness, my ex-wife, and I also, you know, documented it with video evidence. So everything that happened on that day was on video. Then a sergeant intervened, and eventually he released me, and I said to the sergeant that I would make a complaint. And when I got home, because there was a bruise on my knee, I phoned the station. I made a complaint to Inspector Rainham, or something like that. Yeah, Rainham. Inspector Rainham was very professional, and I was well moved by his intervention. You know, he never criticized his officers, he never said they done the wrong thing or anything, but he did empathize with me, and, you know, he spoke to me in such a way that I had to confirm to him that I didn't wish to push it further, because I was satisfied with his professional intervention. Having said that, most importantly, when I pointed out to Inspector Rainham that they had abused my fundamental rights, he did mention to me that he did say to me that my vehicle was no longer of interest to the Metropolitan Police. And touch wood, since then, February 2012, I never had no problems.
It's the same vehicle you have now?
At the time, no. At the time, it was a different vehicle. But since then, I never had no problems with the police. I mean, sometimes they would stop me if there was, you know, justification for stopping me. If they stop me and say to me, we're investigating a crime, you fit the description of somebody, that's fine. I'll identify myself, you know. But don't just come to me and say, we stop you because we are police and we can stop you. No, it's not fair. And you know, there is room for abuse of powers that way. And having said that, since Inspector Renam's intervention, no further problems. Then this particular incident, which I wish you to investigate, thoroughly. It was about 6 o'clock, I would say, on that day. I think it was the 2nd of January. I was traveling on the A13, and I saw a police car, and along with the flow of traffic, I was moving. I mean, absolutely honest, I wasn't doing 50. I was doing probably well over 50, but that was what was consistent with the flow of traffic. And for some reason, they started to follow me. And as they followed me, they pulled me over somewhere on the... I'm sorry, I don't know the name of the road, but it's a road that joins Barking Road. Now, when they pulled me over there, I asked them how I could assist them. They said, can you come to the pavement and talk to me? And I said to the officer, I said, I'm happy to talk to you here. If I haven't done anything, just tell me what has happened. I really don't need to come on the pavement, And then the next thing I know, it appeared he started to call for backup. Now I understand the two police constables to be Constable Kevin Mostyn and Constable, I've forgotten the other one thing. I mean, nothing personal. These are, intelligent officers. I'm happy with my interactions with them, even after the arrest, and I mean, but on that particular occasion, for whatever reason, which I'm still, at a loss to understand, they perhaps treated me with a kind of stereotype. Maybe they've come in contact with many, IC3, people with dreadlocks who, would react in a different way, and so they put up their guards too high or whatever it was, I don't know. But I now understand that they have now made statements that I was aggressive and uncooperative, etc., etc. What they stated to me that day was, well then, they wanted to see my driving license. And I said to them, although I do drive sometimes, but at this precise moment, I'm not driving. I'm not, because I mean, I made them understand that, I'm not a driver when I'm not driving. If I am driving, for which purpose I have a driving license, and you demand to see my driving license, I'll show it to you. And they called for backup. Then Constable, I've forgotten the other one's name, not Mostyn, but yeah, the other one. He's a bit hefty, and he now started to talk to me about the Road Traffic Act and and legislations and codes and policies and Act of Parliament, and I explained to him that, I mean, at this moment, as I am not driving, those would not really apply to me. And I asked him if I was under arrest. He said no, I wasn't. Was I being detained? He said no, but we are trying to find out your details. And I said, officer, if I have not committed a crime and I am in common law jurisdiction, I made this very clear to him, if I have not committed a crime, I have not dealt with fraud in my dealings, and I have not caused harm or injury to anybody, officer, I see no reason why you, in your capacity as a police constable, should be demanding my details. Then he mentioned to me that my tail light was dodgy, or something along those lines, that the main reason he has pulled me over was because there was a fault with my car tail light. So I replied that, oh officer, if the issue is with the tail light, I mean, thanks for bringing it to my attention. I wasn't aware of that before, but it's still not too late. I can stop over at the mechanics and get it fixed. He insisted on getting my details, and I said to him, well, I mean, I'm not going to give you my details, because if I give you my details, then it's like, you know, I'm violating what I consider to be my fundamental right, human right. And he said to me, if you don't give us your details, we will have to arrest you. And he started to mention about the acts and legislations and codes and all this. So I said to him, officer, if I'm not under arrest and if I'm not being detained, then I understand I'm free to go. And I started to roll off. I didn't screech my car, I didn't speed off, I didn't, you know, I just, you know, casually just rolling off. All the while, Constable Mostin was in the police car. It was just me and Constable, I keep forgetting.
Is it Dempsey?
Dempsey, yeah, something Dempsey, yeah. I mean, they're all, you know, nice officers. I haven't got anything against them personally. They personally did not violate me. The only thing is, the only reason I'm not happy with them is they called for backup against me, and I think that tended to escalate the situation. There was no need to call for backup. I was not aggressive, I was not violent, and I was not running away. Anyway, as I began to roll away, I saw them following me, driving in the car. Touch wood, they were not flashing the lights or blowing the sirens, they were just driving behind me. So I thought everything was okay. Now, the mistake that I've made was, all my encounters I video record with the police. On this particular occasion, for whatever reason, I felt so confident, you know, that, I've not done anything wrong, and I didn't expect there to be various sides to the story, so I didn't bother to do that. Now, to cut a long story short, I realized, lo and behold, there was siren all of a sudden, and, you know, before I could react, you know, there was various police cars from different angles. Next thing I know, to my ultimate shock and astonishment, there was about half a dozen police officers around my car. Get out now! What is your name? Where are you going? Where are you coming from? Get out now! Oh, we smashed the window. I said to the officer, I haven't done anything wrong. Get out now! We smashed the window. I said to him, if you smash the window, that will constitute criminal damage. Before I finished the statement, the officer smashed the window with, I don't know, some flashlight or something he had in his hand. Another officer, whom I can't identify at the moment, went around to the passenger side and smashed the window again. So they smashed the two front windows, which I think is absolutely unnecessary. I was not violent, I was not resisting arrest or anything. If anything, I said to them, if you wish to arrest me, I'm not resisting arrest. All I wish to know is, what time do you arrest me from, and how long do you detain me for? So that for the purpose of remedy and damages and compensation, we can be accurate. There is no need to damage my personal vehicle. Having said that, they took me into the police station. The sergeant that I met on duty, I carefully explained everything to him. It seemed reasonable as well, but I don't know, it's like there's some paperwork he just had to comply with or whatever, and he just had to do his thing. And he showed me a lot of professionalism and all these things, and most importantly, he answered my questions more than perhaps even the constables, because I did ask him, why do you have to fingerprint me? And he said to me, anybody that is, it's standard practice for custody issues. So, anyway, I got there. He said to me, are you going to tell us your name now, or we will have to take you to court?
This was the sergeant in
The sergeant. At the earliest opportunity, we will have to take you to court. Tell us your name now, we leave you on bail, you go home, and we resolve this at some future point, or you refuse to tell us your name, we take you to court. And I said to him, if you choose to take me to court or whatever, you know, if I haven't done anything wrong, the same thing that I'm saying to you is what I will repeat to them in court, that I don't have no reason. Anyway, the next morning they took me to court, but before that I suffer from stomach upset problems, and this gets exacerbated with stress and anxiety and a lot of worry and things. Over the past few months, I've gone through a lot in my life. Even in recent days, I have just suffered a family bereavement. I've gone through separation with my ex-wife, with whom I've been for 7 years. A lot of different things, you know, which almost all of which I can't really go into details into. But having said that, I still, you know, went through all this. Now, on the morning that I was going to be transported to the court from the police cell, I demanded, because I was cold, I demanded to have a blanket, and they declined to give me a blanket. I requested to have my jacket, which they took from me, a jacket similar to this. They refused to give it to me. And lo and behold, 2nd of January 2014, in that weather, I was transported to the court cells in my t-shirt. And this I made a complaint about, not only to my local MP, but also to the Lord Lieutenant and the High Sheriff. Yeah. As well as, you know, the Commissioner of Police and, you know, MOPAC and the Office of the Mayor and all the relevant agencies that I thought were concerned. Because I tell you what, yeah, I am not just fighting for myself. I'm fighting for everybody, even the British people, to whom I owe a lot of what do I say, appreciation for what I have done. I've been in England, I've made it my home, I have no record, I have never committed a crime. There is nothing that anybody can pin. Well, maybe all these parking tickets and whatever, you know, minor traffic infringements, but I mean, you know, instead I have taken it upon myself to learn about not only the statutes and legislations of the land, but the law, the fundamental laws as established here by the founding fathers of England and the realms. And I don't just study the codes and the legislations and the statutes of UK. I study the law of England and the realms. England. You see, so what I also wanted to mention was, I have here a document which was witnessed by a Commissioner of Oath in England, stating very clearly, because of the previous infringements that the police have, you know, the encounters, as you say, that the police have had with me, stating clearly that I, Levi, I am separate and different from Mr. Dina. Yeah, the document, it's right here.
To be honest with you, that has caused me some sleepless nights. It was unclear from the letters what exactly you meant. Now, I don't understand, so please explain to me.
I'm more than happy to explain to you. This is a statement of life. It is a statement which was witnessed by Commissioner for Oath in England. This means the Commissioner for Oath has seen me, and he can attest that I am a flesh and blood. There are two types of persons. There is the corporate person and there is the living man, the natural person. I am a natural man. I am not Mr. Dina. As much as many people would like to call me Mr. Dina, I run the affairs of Mr. Dina because I am the manager for Mr. Dina. I'll give you another example. My passport says on the first page, this is a request from the Federal Republic of Nigeria to let the bearer pass without let or hindrance. I am that bearer. I am that bearer bearing that passport. I am not that man, the face on the passport. That is Mr. Dina. I bear. Put it this way: I pay Mr. Dina's taxes.
Yes.
Nobody else can pay his taxes. I pay his taxes because I manage his affairs. But that does not mean that I am him. Another example is the Metropolitan Police. You are not Metropolitan Police.
No.
You are perhaps Sergeant Adam something. You're not even Sergeant Adam something.
No.
You are whatever your name is.
Yes.
Your rank and file and position.
But the Metropolitan Police is a corporate, is a legal entity. It's a legal person. I understand that. But what I don't understand is you seem to be suggesting that you've severed the legal person from the natural person by the means of that document.
Not by the means of this document, by my existence. But a dichotomy has already been created, because in law, when two rights concur in one person,
yes,
that person must be treated, those rights must be treated, that person must be treated as two separate persons. That's what the law says. A document with this information was sent to...
I have said it,
It's the law of England. I'm from Africa. I'm not quoting African laws here.
Who's a corporate... Okay, as far as I'm aware, what you're describing here is not legally possible.
But it is lawfully possible, because one thing may not be legally possible, but lawfully possible. Let me tell you how it works. It's like the President of America.
Yes.
And
I understand very much about office holders. For example, I hold the office of constable.
You're a sergeant.
Well, yes, but all police officers hold the office of constable.
Okay.
Basically, no matter what you do, you remain a legal person. You've still got a legal identity, and that means that statutes, they always will apply to you no matter what you've done.
No, I beg to disagree. The truth of the matter is that statutes, by their very existence, require the consent of the governed for them to have the force of law. Now, it is true that Mr. Dina did apply for a driving license.
Yes.
Which implies that Mr. Dina does subject himself to the regulations and rules and everything.
We're getting way into constitutional affairs, which I think are, well, possibly not relevant to this, but are you aware of the case of R on the application of Jackson versus, in fact, no, you probably won't be. Basically, are you aware of the concept of parliamentary supremacy? It's one of the foundational pillars of the UK Constitution. Parliamentary supremacy or sovereignty. Basically, since time immemorial, but certainly at least since A.V. Dicey in the 1800s, Parliament has the power to make and unmake any law that it chooses, and all laws are subordinate to law made by Parliament. So no matter what else goes on, if Parliament makes a law that says it applies to everyone within our jurisdiction, then it does.
Can I just say, in addition to what you said, I mean, there are some laws which at the time of their enactment, there were pronouncements that they will never be changed forever.
However, parliamentary supremacy means that the current Parliament can unmake any law that the old Parliament made. There are some very technical exceptions to this, but that's going to be going way off topic. Parliament can make and unmake any law. That's fundamental to our Constitution.
No, what's interesting is when I'm investigating something, and I would appreciate, I hope you appreciate this, I don't seek shortcuts. I just want the truth of the matter. So if something is complex, if it will take us another time, if this investigation will be concluded after 5 years, take your time. I'm not in a hurry. I just want, over and above everything, my rights to be protected. And I am saying to you that there are some laws that apply in England and the realms, including the Magna Carta, the Bill of Rights, which Parliament does not have the power to amend or to change, and I will provide you evidence of that, and I will be happy for you to provide me evidence.
Lord Justice's Law's comments in Sunderland, but there's certainly the Bill of Rights is regarded, and the Bill of Rights and the Magna Carta are regarded as constitutional statutes. However, that doesn't mean Parliament couldn't repeal them.
Do you have an example of any of them that Parliament has repealed?
None of them have been repealed.
can
However,
I just draw a line under this legal argument?
Because I'd love to talk for longer, but it's not really relevant to what we're talking about.
If we can get back onto track and to actually get down to the facts of what your complaint is.
Okay. Now the facts of the complaint, basically, first and foremost, after I was arrested, because I suffer from stomach pains, I had my medication on me. My medication bore the name Mr. Dina.
Right.
I requested to have my medication administered to me, and the police refused on the grounds that I had identified myself as Levi and not as Mr. Dina. Fair enough, okay. They consulted a medical practitioner who came and administered some medication to me instead, which I was thankful for. And then after everything had been said and done, and had been taken to court, where I clearly stated that I was not Mr. Dina. I made it very clear to the magistrates and everybody there that I was there to represent Mr. Dina if there was any problem with Mr. Dina. But even the traffic infringement for which the police gave a pretext for stopping me was committed by Levi. Because I am Levi. I am Levi. I am not Mr. Dina. I gave them a document to show that, all this, the power of attorney from Mr. Dina. This was given to Levi by Mr. Dina, saying that that Levi can run his affairs, can do everything. I have not had anybody challenge this. This was provided to me in 2012 by Mr. Dina, and I have not had anybody say to me that they wish to either take up a case of fraud against me, or impersonating, or misrepresentation. Instead, no, I'm just saying the powers that I have on behalf of Mr. Dina.
Can I just be absolutely clear? Levi Dina, you were the same person. You were born as Levi Dina. Is that correct? Or you were born as you were born as Mr. Dina, yes?
Or was you born as Olive Dina? There's so many names on here, I'm not quite sure which one to...
See, what it is in the first place,
Yes.
I am commonly known as Levi of the Dina family.
Okay.
That's all there is to me. Now, I represent Mr. Dina.
Okay.
If Mr. Dina has taxes to pay, I pay it for him. Nobody has ever accused me or challenged me for paying Mr. Dina's taxes, even though I am Levi. And if anybody thinks, that's unacceptable or illegal or unlawful, I await, litigation.
You can...
Having said that, I mean, moving on. There was, in summary, the details of my complaints are, basically, I've provided the police with documentary evidence of the details of my complaints, but, just to summarize, there was over and above everything malicious prosecution.
Okay, so malicious. And what do you base that malicious prosecution on?
The malicious prosecution is because whereas Levi it was who had committed quote and unquote a traffic infringement, it was